about. Bill Gross, the LA probate expert, and I interview from time to time industry experts in real estate investing, and sales and other professionals. And one person I met recently is an expert in helping professionals, real estate people, and non-real estate people, business entrepreneurs, get the most out of their business. I think the most important investment we make is in ourselves, our mindset, into our personal development. And Monika Edwards is a really successful coach I was introduced to through a friend. Really made an impact on me the first conversation we had. And so I wanted to go a little deeper today. So Monika, thank you so much for joining our call today.
Thank you for having me. I'm absolutely delighted to be spending time with you, Bill.
So give us a little background. Where did you grow up? And then how did you get into personal development and coaching?
Oh, interesting. So I grew up in a small farm town in Illinois, but I've lived in California, London, Colorado, and now I'm near Hilton Head Island. My former career of 23 years, and I'm going to tell my age here, was in law enforcement, one form or another. I was a special agent for the United States government and a counterintelligence agent overseas. And I really got burnt out from that life, because I'd rather hug you and help you than throw you down and arrest you.
Wow.
big difference, right? But here's
where somebody was going to throw me down and arrest me. I think I'd like to have you do it rather than other people I've met. So,
but here's how it links together, which is beautiful. I was asking a lot of questions in the field, and a powerful coach asks a lot of powerful questions. So it was about, it's been, I want to say it's been 15 years now. So 2007 is when I made the transition. And it wasn't, it started off a little bit in health coaching, and then business coaching, and then mindset coaching. And then it went into, in about 2011, 12 is when I started focusing on real estate agents. And I do more than that, but that is my specialty. That's where my love and my heart is.
So I find it interesting. You see, you started in health and then moved to business. And it seems like no matter what niche you're in, I've coached agents in real estate. You end up having to get into business because you can do all the sales you want, but if you don't take care of business, then those sales kind of become meaningless. You're not saving the money. You're just making money and spending it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you take that a level deeper, here's how it actually transforms. So the health, fitness, and the weight loss coaching, I could get clients so far in their life with their health and their eating and their fitness and their weight. But then I realized it was like I could only get them to a certain point. That's when I started studying the 6 inches in between the ears. And that was the game changer. And so now that also gives me the ability to coach to the whole person. Because just like you said, you've got to attend to the business, but you got to attend to yourself. Because if you're not well, how can you pour into your people?
Well, I was next going to say that you did it in a different order, but I think you've hit the roadblock I hit in when I had a coaching business, which is you can teach about your niche and teach the strategies and tactics all you want and organize it in a business-like fashion. But if their mindset isn't right, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it effectively. And so really, you have to unfortunately, you have to start all over again and get the mindset right, and then get the other pieces of the puzzle put together. So it sounds like you came to that conclusion as well in your business at some point. And
absolutely. And that's when my business really skyrocketed, right? When I realized that these 6 inches, because you're right, if your mindset is not there, you could either be really stuck just on the hamster wheel, or so stuck that you're not doing anything at all.
Right. Right. And I think you really make the point that transformation starts with the mindset has to change before the activities. In business, I think you have 2 choices. You can either transform people, which is mindset, or you can focus just on those that are swimming towards you. They've already changed the mindset. They're in some action, but they're failing. And your job is to bring in the rest of the way. So it sounds like you deal with it more holistically. How did you get from health and business and mindset into real estate agents? So unhealthy, bad business, and poor mindset sounds like a lot of realtors I know. So
right.
How did you follow the cheese and get there?
It was so interesting. I had I was studying a method at ninja selling, just for my own knowledge, which I love ninja selling because it's really about relationships and building relationships. And in doing so, I had a former health and fitness client of mine who was also a real estate agent ask if I would come in and coach his people.
Well,
right, for the ninja selling system. And that was the start of it. I realized how much I enjoyed that, and that it was the next team and the next team, and just have built from there.
So walk us through that. Imagine you're brought into a team of 100 people behind me, and you're brought in to try to help motivate them. I imagine, or not motivate, help increase their production. At some level, you need to know something about them to get started, or what's the process look like? How do you go from zero to being an
Yeah.
effective resource for a team of people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do a lot of one-on-one and I do some team. So what I really love is my one-on-ones, right? And a lot of times I'll coach the rainmaker and then we do a group coaching for the team. And that
Got
it's
it.
really two different processes. So if I'm coaching an individual agent or the rainmaker, I start off with an hour-long session. I always tell them, Bill, that our job today is to get to know each other. I want to know who you are inside and outside of real estate, and I want to know what your business looks like to see how I can help you. So getting to know who they are as a person and how they do business. What does their day look like? What success habits do they have in place? What things are they doing that they need to stop doing? And what are they not doing that they need to start doing? And adding more systems and structure into their business, just one piece at a time, because it's building blocks,
Right.
right? And depending on uh, what their entire life looks like, because there's a difference between a heavy hitter with 4 children and a marriage and a heavy hitter who's single.
Right.
Right. I mean, they still have responsibilities in a life they have to juggle and balance.
Right.
But the speed at which we can move may be differently, right? Because my job is certainly not to add things to their plate. It's to really prioritize the things they know they need to do on a consistent basis that's going to make them successful.
When we talk about coaching or recruiting real estate agents to our team, I always pay attention to what people talk about as being important, and people will talk to me about how valuable their culture is, and they have all these social events and they have all this stuff. And there was a time in my life that would have been great. Today I have a very full social life. I'm involved with my immediate family, with my daughter and our new grandson, with local community, I have some leadership positions here as well. And so I'm just looking to work where I need to work and be productive in a nice, pleasant, way. I'm not looking to go to social events with the team. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
That's just not my phase of life. And I think we'd be careful about what we consider as important to people. So talk about real estate agents. I'm sure everybody's.
Oh, your audio went out.
My
Oh,
audio
it's
went out?
back. Yep, it's
Okay.
back.
No, it must be some consistent themes that you see to real estate agents that you coach that keep them from achieving the goals that they want. What are the most 1 or 2 consistent areas that you see people struggle with that you can help them overcome?
Schedule.
Yeah.
Number 1. The biggest problem I see, people are on the scale of, if you think about it, if there's peace, calm, clear, focused on one spectrum, and then on the other, stressed, doubtful, overwhelmed, right? The people over here that are stressed and overwhelmed are playing badminton all day. They have no boundaries with anybody. And I think healthy boundaries are very important. They have no structure to the day. They're playing badminton, responding to texts and to emails, letting the schedule control them. That is number 1, hands down the problem. And number 2 is not having the success habits, right? So, and when I say success habits, that is a range of things from the time that you wake up in the morning to the time you lay your head on the pillow. We've got to be moving every single day. A good morning mindset to set your feet on solid ground is huge. Everybody talks about it, whether you're talking about Dean Graziosi, who wrote the Millionaire Success Secrets. It's in there as well. The Ninja Selling System, Tony Robbins, Tom Ferry. Everybody talks about this morning mindset. Joe Dispenza is a New York Times #1 bestseller, and he talks about how you can wire your brain for stress, overwhelm, doubt, worry, fear, anxiety, or peace, calm, clarity, and focus. So starting your day off with a good morning mindset routine, whether it's gratitude, prayer, meditation, affirmations, reading something positive, is all huge. And then those success habits, when you get in, whatever you're doing for lead generation, I call it fishing, right? Or getting into flow, getting fish to come into your boat, whether you're writing note cards or making calls to your sphere, that's got to be done in the morning. Here's where people make the mistake. They make their appointments. They're all over the place throughout the entire day. And once you go out into the world on appointments, it is very rare. Research shows very rare, very seldom that you ever come back to do the work on your business.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I've been in that system for about 25 years. That between the morning until 12 is about generating business, and then at that
Yeah.
point on, if you just did that every day, there's always enough business the rest of the day to work on. If you don't do that every day, then business gets to be very difficult. I would agree with 100%.
So true. And I wanted to add in that if someone is not lead generating at all, and they're like, oh my God, I just don't have time, start with 30 minutes, right? Set boundaries around the phone calls and limit them. If the first time you talk to someone in 2 years, it's probably going to be a longer call. Just fess up to it, own it,
Right.
right? But just make that plan to make 2 calls in the morning or 30 minutes or 1 hour, whatever it is, just to get into that habit, and that habit
Right.
will grow and grow. The
Right.
other thing that you brought up earlier, like you said, and I love that you said this, you said, going to social events and networking at this stage in life is not your thing. And what I do, Bill, is I customize plans for people. So
Yeah.
if I were coaching someone at your stage in life with your particular goals, and if you're still wanting to grow business in any certain way, I would use those things whenever your grandson is ready for hockey or soccer or whatever it is. You're intentional with who you sit next to. Meet
Right.
someone new and use the forward and record. There's something about their family, their work, occupation, their what they do for fun, and then record that when you get home. And that is your lead generation. You're
Yeah.
generating leads as you're out and about building relationships, doing the things you normally do. And I enter that into a lot of people's plans.
When I started the business in real estate, there were really just a limited number of ways to generate leads. You could cold call, which is the path I went on. There was door knocking, which I did, and just I wasn't effective at it for various reasons, but
Mhm.
compared to the phone calling. You could spend money in mail or advertise, but if you didn't have the money to start with, then you really couldn't invest that money. That was it. Today, we also have social media, which is a tremendous opportunity, though those change, right? It used to be Facebook was a lead generation. Now, if you don't advertise in it, it's not going to generate so many leads for you. And there's other platforms, but they also could be transitory. So when you look at a real estate agent trying to increase their business, what do you do to help them focus on a methodology or tactics for their lead generation system?
It's interesting. I always have them pick 3 levers of lead generation, right? And we've got a whole list of different ways you can generate leads. And that very first phone call, Bill, when I'm getting to know them, I'm getting to know who they are as a person and what their way of doing business is. And that's just by asking questions. Like if I say, have you ever done cold calling? And they're like, oh no, I don't even call my sphere. All right. So we may be going in a complete different direction, but we pick 3 based on who they were created to be as a person, what works with them, what resonates with them. And so knowing their gifts, their passions, and what works for them, that's how we build that plan. And we pick 3 and we stick to those 3. That doesn't mean that I don't push them out of their comfort zone. Right. So if they're not used to calling their sphere or people that they know, we'll have a talk about that. I will never, as a coach, I don't try to push that square peg into the round hole. That's not going to do any good. But personal growth and development, we know is key,
Right.
right? So if we can just examine, if they say, no, I would never do that, my answer is tell me more about that. And what does that do? It lets me know, is it a limiting belief? Is it a drunk monkey or a gremlin in the back of their head going, no, you can't do that, right? Just because the way they see the world and the filters through which they see the world? Or is it a skill set? Or is it they don't know how to do it? Or is it just rubs them the wrong way because it's not who they are? But at least we have the conversation and we pick the lead gen tools that resonate with who they are as a person.
And I think in being authentic, I think that's another way of saying what being authentic of who they are as a
Yes.
person, finding something they're going to do. I just in my coaching, I was with a company. We had a particular way of doing business, and the owner only wanted me to sell that system for various reasons. And so square peg, square peg, square peg, and I meet around a hole, and I'm kind of pound the square peg into them. And I'm good at it, but it's frustrating, and I don't think it's serving
Yeah.
the person. They're not. It's not holistic. It's not authentic to who they are. And maybe they'll
Yeah.
do it for a period of time, and then they'll find that it's just not comfortable. Whereas for me, I love teaching, helping, and so for me, the videos I've been doing as one of my main sources have been just enjoyable. It's fun. I
Yes.
do it whether it's not really even work, to be honest. I just enjoy doing it, I have to get paid by doing it. So I go ahead and continue with it.
That's how we pick what the lead gen is, right? They're authentic and what they enjoy doing, because it shouldn't feel like work, right? Something's off, whether it's the activity, the skill set, or the mindset, or it's just not them if they're not enjoying it.
Right. And they're not going to do it consistently over time.
No,
it's just not. And I think that's
make it fun.
Make it fun, make it something they really see a passionate, enjoyment out of, and then they're going to do it regularly. And I do know for me personally, I didn't enjoy the video when I started. It took a push. I had a coach who really pushed me to do it. Once I got through a certain point, I got past the video mechanics and I kind of accepted what it was, and I learned to enjoy the process of communication. I think that's what I enjoy, the part of it. I don't have to be an influencer. That's not my goal. I'm a real estate broker. I'm looking for people who want to learn about real estate to help them solve the problem. And I think with other agents, they have their passion. One of the other typical parts I find for real estate agents is they're so me too. And I think that they want to have such a large fishing net. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to have a very narrow niche like I do, but I feel like sometimes they're overly broad to the point of being almost nonsensical. That when I go and look and say, well, what does this person do well? I can't tell by looking at their media. How do you advise agents to either narrow what they're looking for or claim some expertise or claim some experiences that can create some esteem in the eyes of their prospects?
Yeah. So that is really, that's a huge topic. So I mentioned before, gifts and passions. The way each person is created is individual and unique. There is nobody else like Bill. And there's certain things that Bill is really good at, and we can make a list of those. And then there's things that you care about, your passions. And that is a result of your life experiences, right? Some people are really passionate about helping when a family member dies, right? That could have been one of the things that got you into the probate. So we look at people's individual gifts and the things they care about and what community they thrive in personally, right? And that's usually will help get down their niche. So some people, they were the first person in the family to create generational wealth. And now that's what they're saying as one of my clients is be a good human being and helping others create generational wealth. So I think it takes a little bit to fine tune, right? Each individual person, but you got to dig into who the person is before you can figure out what their niche may be.
And that's the challenge I find with most coaching programs when they get big, is that again, they have a square peg specialization, and that's what built the business, and that's what makes them unique. But they don't have the courage to say to people, you're a round hole, you don't really fit here, go somewhere else. They really try to drive people or make them feel guilty for not being successful in it. I see so many agents, I feel like they're almost in an abusive situation. I know I'm supposed to cold call 3 hours a day, but I don't. No, maybe you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
The fact that you're so pained about it means you're probably not supposed to.
Right.
What could we do that will help you generate your business that does not include 3 hours a day of grinding on the phone? Because if that's not you, let's get off of it and get into something else you're going to do. And the guilt, there's no reason to put the guilt in your backpack and drag that with you through life, right?
Yeah, it's so very true. I've got a saying, Bill, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
100%.
Something's got to change, right? But then you also said something about, well, you're talking about two things. One came to mind. I want to talk about when you mentioned a few minutes ago about the video, and that can be and I want to talk about how the limiting beliefs can frame how we see things. But I want to talk about the Consciouspreneur magazine, because you just hit it on the nail head. You said if they're not being authentic, and you've got some of these leaders that are trying to shove the square peg into the round hole, and it's never going to work. There's a magazine coming out that I'd love to introduce to your readership, because I think the content in it for the community that you serve are going to really benefit from. And the Consciouspreneur is the person who wants to have an impact on the world in some way, shape, or form, make a difference, contribute while making a profit. And they know that personal growth and development is key. And that brought us full circle, because when my business took off as a real estate coach is when I realized that these 6 inches are just incredible. And you mentioned bricks in the backpack, or you're dragging the brick around. So that's a word that I frequently use, Bill. when we are born, we're unapologetically us, right? You got the cry face, you don't care what it looks like, how loud it is, stinky diaper, not caring who's changing that either, right? Because we've not been introduced to the world of judgment. Then life happens to us. People say things to us, they do things to us, we experience lives, and then we make these stories in our head about what things mean, and especially what things mean about me, right? So if someone says, like your thing was video, I would want to explore that, because when we start exploring, we're aware of our thoughts and we start exploring what we're making things mean. That is a game changer. So those are little gremlins, the negative things. Have I showed you this guy before?
No,
Isn't he adorable? So this is a gremlin, which is also a limiting belief, right? It's the one that says, oh, I can't do that, or oh, I could never do that. I'll never achieve that success. Make 250, 500,000 a year. I can't do that. Any limiting belief. I can't do videos could be a limiting belief, or I can't door knock. And it's not about putting the square peg in the round hole, but it's about getting rid of this guy, because he's nice and furry and fuzzy until he rears his ugly head and does this. It gets in your way. Then it's a problem, because it's limiting you. Right. So if we can release all those negative beliefs that we have due to our upbringing or what have you, I call them bricks in the backpack. Whether it's the I can't or I'm not, or negative emotions of anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame, those get heavy after a while. And if we can unload those, it is amazing how real estate agents start showing up in their personal lives and their businesses once they're clear of that stuff.
Well, when I said about the video, I really meant, my business before the pandemic was about meeting people in person, whether it be at live events.
Okay.
I felt that I was always really effective, that my strengths came across when people met me face to face, that I communicate more effectively, that maybe it's my confidence or whatever. We can go into a whole reasons why, but I felt like my whole business was predicated on getting in front of my prospect, whether it be recruiting or building my real estate business. And with the pandemic, that went away. I mean, I didn't have control over that. And the video, I felt, I didn't see it as an avenue to replace that, because much of the video I saw was fluff and entertainment, not about genuine communication. However, when I looked into it, I said, well, that's them. I could do it authentic to me. Like, I used to always wear a coat and tie. That was part of my process for business. And I said, you know what, on video, I need to be more approachable through video. It's harder to be intimate. So I'll just be a little more casual and make myself a little more available in that regard. And so I didn't want to make it too fancy in the background, because this is my office. I work here every day. This is not a set. I'm not an influencer.
Right.
I'm a real estate broker. I'm a coach. I'm a business person. So it was really about finding my path to being authentic and knowing there's a way to create value that was real for me, not trying to pretend something that I don't really want to be. I can even make a lot of money as an influencer. I never want to do it. It just isn't interesting to me. Helping somebody with a problem really is. Brings me then to the next question for you, which is, traditionally in your business, we would see you live at an event. We go to a national event and you'd be one of the speakers, or a state event, you'd be a speaker, and I would get a chance to hear you, see you, touch and feel you kind of emotionally. That doesn't exist today. But I do know on your website, you offer a complimentary, you call it test drive. What's that about? And how can somebody kind of enter your world? And what's that look like, that door?
Excellent. Excellent. So thank you for bringing that up, Phil. So it is, it's monikakcoaching.com, the letter K. And the test drive is meant for the mastery level person. So in order to qualify for that, they already have to be making 125K in the business. It's not meant for newbies. In the future, for anyone who does apply and they don't meet that, we're going to be doing some group coaching. So they may fall into that category. But the free complimentary one-to-one test drive is a full month of free coaching with me, face-to-face on Zoom, if they qualify for that. And what's powerful about that is we do that first call, right, where I get to know them, we get to know each other to see if the month of calls is really going to work for us. Because let's face it, we're all not a great match for everybody. Right. But we determine in that call if we want to move forward with the month of complimentary coaching. And we meet every week, and we start with some basic foundational things to get the ball rolling. And by the last session, when I say this is our last session, that's all I have to say. Because the next question is, well, wait a second, how do we continue going forward? And I think the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. If I can make an impact in your life in the first 30 days and show you what that return on investment looks like, people are really enjoying it.
I love that because I feel that one of the tenets of my business is I'm willing to do things for free to audition for the job. And I'm confident enough in my value that if you get it, great. If you don't get the value that I bring to your job, I'd rather not work with you anyhow. It's okay.
We're not a great match, right?
We're not a great match. Better to find out now. Better get divorced now than get married. And I've never been divorced, but I imagine I've seen what that does to people. But in a business sense, I think that if you have enough business coming in, you can make sure you work with people that you bring value to. It makes the job fun and interesting. When you're just signing people up because they hit your website, I think you end up compromising your values, and then the business can become a bit of a grind. So I really admire that that's what you do.
Thank you. And, and I feel good about it because whether it's not a good fit, whether it is or isn't a good fit, I feel like I've been able to make a contribution.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you use what we did in those sessions in that month, it's a game changer for you, whether you continue to work with me or not. But I've made an impact and I've made a connection. And you never know. I think that that when we cross paths with people, there's always a reason for it.
So my first coach was Zig Ziglar, and he always would say that you can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. So if you help them, if they don't take your coaching, or they don't join my company or team, but they go on, it always comes back somehow, either randomly, well, how'd that person come to me? Or I've had people come back 6 months, a year, 5 years later. Hey, you held this program, you did this, you coached me here, you really helped me, and I want to do business with you now because I'm ready to do it. So right on that you do it. Thank you for offering that to people. And so again, if they gross 125 or more a year, hit the button and take a free trust drive and see if Monika can't transform your business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if they don't qualify for the 125, it'll ask you in there how much you made. If you don't, we can keep you on the list for possible group coaching.
Got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that's Monika K. And what's the K for? You spell Monika with a C. So
Karen.
It's Monika, Monica, and then
Karen.
K coaching. Middle name.
My middle name. Yep.
Got it. Okay. So
Monika K period.
K coaching, because it must be Monika coaching. There's some other Monikas in the world, obviously.
Right.
None as great as you.
Thank you, Bill.
There are the posers. I'll share with you. Within an hour's drive of me, there are two men named Bill Gross, both over 55 and less than, I don't know, 65. So within 10 years of my age. Two, within an hour's drive, both billionaires who've both been on Fortune magazine covers, and I'm not one of them.
Serious? Dang it.
But if you go to therealbillgross.com, that's me. So there you go, the internet.
Perfect. I love that. Therealbillgross.com. That is beautiful.
So Monika K Coaching, Monika, thank you so much for your time with us today. I really appreciate you offering to our group, those who are appropriate to test drive, those inappropriate, get in the test drive system. And that way, when there's a group coaching, they'll get part of that. Really appreciate your kind of full service real estate agent, real estate professional coaching program. It's been great with you. Thank you so much for your time today.
So much gratitude. Thank you for being able to allow me on the program and for connecting with you and your community. Have a great day, Bill.
And I would say last, look for the Consciouspreneur magazine coming out shortly.
Consciouspreneur magazine. And there's a contact us button on the website. If you just want to subscribe to that, there'll be a page on that coming up as well.
Fantastic. So we'll share that as well. Thank you again so much.
Thank you, Bill.